engineers from NASA, United Launch Alliance, and Boeing are trying to figure out exactly what happened. Peter King, CBS News at the Kennedy Space Center.
This year's Atlantic hurricane season starts today, and experts say it will be rough. Many are facing weather threats around the nation this weekend. Kelly Cass is at the Weather Channel.
A lot of outages when it comes to high wind in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We had some tornadoes and some flooding as well. We'll keep an eye on that cluster moving across eastern Texas into Louisiana during the afternoon, and then vicious storms showing up late tonight into the overnight hours, and even Sunday looks pretty busy across portions of Oklahoma and Texas.
The families of Israeli hostages want all parties to accept a proposal that could mean an end to the war in Gaza. But CBS's MTS Tayeb reports there are obstacles.
There's only been a brief statement from Prime Minister Netanyahu's office, which acknowledged support for the outline of the deal announced by the president, but also insisted that the war would not end until Israel's objectives were achieved. Now, that includes the returning of all the hostages and the elimination of Hamas's military and governing capabilities.
There's confirmation now that hackers have accessed customer information on Ticketmaster. The BBC's Simon Browning.
The Ticketmaster hack is one of the biggest in history in terms of the number of victims around the world. A group calling itself Shiny Hunters claimed earlier this week there were 560 million customers affected. It has requested $500,000 in ransom to prevent the stolen data from being sold on to anyone else. Today, Ticketmaster's owner, Live Nation, confirmed there had been what it called unauthorized activity on its database.
Experts say climate change is making disasters, including floods and droughts, more intense and more frequent. But a top UN official says fewer people are dying globally because there are better warning systems now and better planning. The agency's Assistant Secretary General says climate disasters are still hurting people, though, and worse, pushing them into poverty. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
A healthy weight, more energy, and smooth, regular bowel movements. 3 things everyone strives for.
It's me, Chuck Norris. There's one really important thing we don't talk about enough: our health. Achy joints, digestive issues, weight gain, and fatigue. We're told these are normal signs of aging. So working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick.
Morning Kick is a revolutionary formula combining 10 different supplements in one. Probiotics that help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and several of the most powerful anti-aging supplements on earth. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, focused, and help manage stress.
Anybody can achieve great health regardless of their age.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com. Use code SAVE or text SAVE to 511-511 and claim 40% off today.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee.
Text SAVE to 511-511. Morning Kick. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
A somber remembrance of a terrible crime.
This month marks 30 years since the murders of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson.
She called me up and she says, Denise, she goes, I need you to come up here. I need you to take pictures of me.
Sister Denise Brown tells some of the story in the life and murder of Nicole Brown Simpson.
And when I saw her, I said, oh my God. I said, what happened? I said, why are you with him?
And she tells CBS News the idea for this had been discussed around earlier anniversaries among Nicole's surviving 3 sisters.
Do you guys want to do something? Let's humanize Nicole. Let's let Nicole's voice be heard. Let's tell her story.
Steve Kathan, CBS News.
A toddler in Ghana has set the record for being the world's youngest male artist. Ace Liam Ankra won't even be 2 years old until July. His mom is also an artist and says it started by accident. She spread a canvas on the floor, he crawled on it, and that became his very first painting. Allison Keys, CBS News.
Broadcasting live from the palatial studios of KOKC in Oklahoma City, it's McRoof Talks Insurance. I'm Rick Allen Lippert here with restoration specialist and Hall of Fame remodeler, Scott McCollum.
Hey, Mr. Rick.
Good afternoon to you. Also here is the next generation of McRoof, HAAG-certified roof inspector, Scotty McCollum.
Hello, Rick.
Looking good there, Scotty. Running man Eric Yandel is the wizard on the other side of the glass.
Hello, Rick.
Hello. He will answer your calls to 405-478-1520. We're live streaming the show as usual on our McRoof Talks Insurance YouTube channel, and we're waving to you at the moment. You can also hear us anywhere in the U.S. of A. on iHeartRadio. Just search for KOKC. Act 1 of today's show will start as usual with our trivia question and other interesting tidbits, including the word of the week, which is a very original word this week.
Oh, yeah.
That number again to guess the trivia question or to just ask a question is 405-478-1520. Act 2 features Scotty's view from the rooftop. This week, Scotty investigates his toughest leak yet. Does he have what it takes? Or has he met his match? In an episode titled The Roof Detective. Coming back from breaks, we'll have some really obscure historical trivia. Then in Act 3, we'll have our After the Storm tip brought to you by RoofRx and wrap up with Dad's Wisdom brought to you by Energy Q. The lawyer is insistent that I tell you that S&CM LLC, doing business as McRoof.us, legally operates under Oklahoma registration number 80000002, and that the registration applies to both residential and commercial roofing. Okay, so gentlemen, let's get started. Again, that number 405-478-1520. If you think you have the answer to the following trivia question.
Scotty?
What are two factors which determine if a particular roof location impacted by hail is quote-unquote damaged?
What are the two factors which determine if a particular roof location impacted by hail is, quote, damaged? So if you think you know what those two things are, those two factors, give us a call, 405-478-1520.
Let me just throw this out there.
Okay.
That he's not asking you, we're not asking you what it looks like.
Okay.
Oh, true.
Asking,
that is a good
this is a
distinction.
fairly technical answer as to what damage is.
So okay, not necessarily, it's not cosmetic.
Well, these are actually, I would say, these are functional, descriptive, without giving too many hints.
Away the answer.
Yes.
Yeah.
These are functional, descriptive aspects that determine if something is considered damaged or not.
This is going to take some
damage relative to your insurance contract.
That's right.
Okay, so this is going to take some serious Googling.
There you go.
All right. So if you think you know, 405-478-1520. The winner gets 2 free tickets to Carpenter Square Theater for the remainder of this season. We have one more weekend in the current play, Ben Butler. I saw it again last night. Really, really good. One more weekend is a Sunday matinee tomorrow at 2 o'clock, our only matinee, and then next weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And Thursdays are half price.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're free for our trivia winner.
They are free for the trivia winners, but for those of you who are maybe too
give us a call.
Too shy to call. So what are the two factors which determine if a particular roof location impacted by hail is, quote, damaged?
There you go.
And it's not cosmetic. Okay, so the word of the week, this totally original word of the week.
You bet.
Well, you know, sometimes, Rick, the most obvious things are right under our nose, and here we are talking insurance, but I don't think we've ever talked about what insurance is.
I don't believe we have. I think
so. Our word of the week.
It's an assumption that we make that we all know.
That everyone knows. So tell us what the textbook said, son.
The word of the week, folks, is insurance.
That's right. Insurance. Well, insurance, by definition, is an arrangement or practice by which a company or agency provides a guarantee of compensation for a specific loss. For a specific loss, damage, illness, or death, which ventures into other categories of insurance, of course, in return for payment of a set premium or agreed upon premium.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go. Very good.
So loss would be would probably be the best description for something pertaining to a residential or business insurance, property insurance.
Yeah. So is that I've always kind of gone back and forth on that. Is that a transfer of risk from one party to another?
Kind of sounds like
At the very least, it's a sharing in that risk, because you could say that the insured participates in that loss to the degree of their deductible or their non-recoverable depreciation or any of the other things that they may not have on their policy that have to be done in order to restore the property.
Yeah.
And the insurance company, of course, is taking the big hit on that, on the majority of that loss. So I don't know that it's a complete transfer. I seem to think that it's a little bit more of a sharing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway.
An agreed upon partnership.
Yeah.
In which they.
I've always looked at insurance as just a sophisticated form of gambling.
Really? Yeah, I don't know about
insurance
that.
companies don't lose a whole lot, Rick.
Exactly.
I think
the house. The house is always.
It's always stacked in the house's favor.
I think the gambling might be not having any insurance.
Well, there is that.
That seemed where we live. That
Some
would
would
seem
argue.
to be a fairly big gamble.
Sure. Yeah.
Some would argue with you on that.
Yeah, I know that.
All right. Hey, it's National Play Outside Day. It's the first Saturday of the month. The first Saturday of every month is National Play Outside Day. And then the first Saturday in June is several days. It's National Black Bear Day.
Okay.
Like they need
as compared to a Brown Bear Day. When is their day?
I don't know.
Okay, well you better look it up.
It's also National Prairie Day. We ought to recognize that. National Bubbly Day, so have some champagne. I guess. It's also National Game Show Day and National Nail Polish Day. Why these things need a national day is beyond me.
Well, somewhere in there has to be a way that somebody's making some money off of them. That's why they have a day.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, when in doubt, follow the money.
Yeah,
that's right.
And as much as I like to just keep things current, tomorrow is National Bubba Day.
Oh, I love that one. I love that
And International Volkswagen Bus Day. And I bring that up only because I had a Volkswagen bus when I was in college, a camper, and even lived in it one summer.
What were those campers called?
Westphalia.
It was called a camper.
What was it?
Westphalia?
Yeah.
Well, that was who upfitted them at some point.
Okay.
Mine predated the Westphalia.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like I have a Sprinter van now outfitted by Winnebago.
Okay.
But it's really called a Winnebago van, but they just converted a Sprinter van. But Volkswagen Bus Day. I had a lot of great times that I can't talk about. And
I like this National Bubba Day though. That's I got some Bubbas I probably should call tomorrow.
Exactly, and that's what So I did look at that and to see why do we have a Bubba Day, and it was we all know somebody who's a Bubba, and really it's a young it's a kid's version of brother. When they can't say brother, they say Bubba.
Right.
But then there are folks who continue to be Bubbas to us all, and it said give them a call tomorrow and just check on them.
That's what it said. Huh? Okay.
One last thing about the Volkswagen bus, I have gotten to look at the new version that they're coming out with. They're coming out with an all-electric version, and it was at the car show a few months ago. You couldn't get in it; you could touch it if you could reach beyond the ropes. Yeah, it's very expensive.
Yeah,
just put it that way.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Aren't all electric cars?
I bet it is.
Okay, our trivia question. What are the two factors which determine if a particular roof location impacted by hail is, quote, damaged? And we're not looking for cosmetic. We're looking for the two effects that determine this. And that's all I'm going to say on that. If you think you know, if you've looked it up already on the Google, 405-478-1520.
And we'll give you some help here. Scotty is a HAAG-certified roof inspector. I bet if you Googled around HAAG engineering and asked for some definitions of hail damage, they would give you some.
And that HAAG is H-A-A-G.
H-A-A-G,
right.
Not HAAG.
Yeah.
Although a lot of inspectors and adjusters I've run into, they
say HAAG.
refer to it as HAAG.
Yeah, they do.
Well,
they do.
If you don't know, you don't know.
Well, maybe we're wrong, Scott.
So what have you guys done this past week? Have you been on a roof?
Too many roofs, Rick.
Is there such a
They're
thing?
all running together. Johnny's been on a lot of roofs. Kelvin and I have been on a lot of roofs.
Okay.
And we've got a lot of people to get information to as a follow-up to those inspections.
So I had a good experience the other day. I got to reconnect with one of my old clients.
Yeah.
Had called and knew she had hail damage on her vehicle, and didn't know what the impacts of that would be or the effects of that would be on her roof. Her roof is about 10 or 12 years old, so literally first time I've seen her in 10 or 12 years.
Right.
And we got to get out there and take a look at things for her. Do we have somebody on the phone?
We do. We have two people on the phone.
We can talk about this later.
Let's first go to Bill. Bill, are you wanting to give a shot at the trivia question?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the trivia question.
Oh, well, let's see what Bill needs taken care of.
So
First of all, we'll get to the trivia question.
Okay.
Yep. What can we help you with today,
well,
Bill?
Well, gentlemen, I'm working on my roof, and I figured I'd give you guys a shout. What I'm trying to understand is how the flashing should be installed around the dormers when the ice and water shield is applied. Because I was thinking if the roof valleys are at an acute angle, should I be concerned about the granule loss on the hip caps, especially during the thermal cycling in a region with a high UV exposure? And does that change if I'm using architectural shingles versus recap?
That's a lot to unpack right there, Bill.
There's four or five different
There are a couple
things
things that I think we should discuss. Are you specifically referring to start, when you say dormers, the flashing, are you talking about the sidewall flashing or the head wall flashing? The
apron flashing.
The wall at the front side of that dormer, which overlooks, I'm suspecting, the front or the back of your house.
I've got front dormers, but I'm also concerned about thermal cycling and what should I do about the ridge vent? Because if I'm installing a continuous ridge vent, but the sheathing is OSB instead of plywood, does that affect the ventilation efficiency, considering the potential for moisture intrusion through the gable end?
No, if you have...
how would you compare that to a power vent system in terms of the attic airflow dynamics?
Well, I think ridge vent, where we have enough dominant ridge, to me, ridge vent is the best way of ventilating an asphalt shingle roof that we've ever had. It's located at the apex of the roof, and with the assumption that you have a balanced attic ventilation system, which means you have equal to or greater intake to exhaust, and this is a piece of it that very, very few contractors calculate and that very, very few homeowners ever consider. We always look at your intake ventilation, do the calculations on the ventilation for the exhaust, and we address any shortfall in your intake ventilation. We also make sure that the intake ventilation that you have is open and flowing through the bottom side of that roof deck up to that ridge vent. If you have those two things, you will not have moisture buildup in your roof, in your attic, or condensation form on the bottom side of your OSB decking.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now, another thing that do we need to do something?
Yeah, we got to take a break. Hey, Bill,
can you hang on for a minute?
If you
Bill?
can hang on for a couple of minutes, that'd be great. And Dan will.
I'm on the roof now, but I'll wait.
Okay. All right. So with that, we'll take our first break. We'll be back with Act 2 in just a couple of minutes. I want to remind you, you're listening to McRoof Talks Insurance on KOKC. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. He's Scott McCollum, and the other one is Scotty McCollum. Eric Yandel taking your calls to 405-478-1520. When we come back, we'll have some obscure historical trivia. We'll finish up with Bill and Dan and then go up on the rooftop. We'll be right back.
Talk Radio's new generation, KOKC.
I'm Scott McCollum, and I am McRoof. Don't let that big out-of-pocket expense on your roof claim stand between you and the new roof that you want and need. I'll finance your deductible, non-recoverable depreciation, or your upgrades over 12 to 24 months. No third-party financing, no hassle, in-house financing by McRoof. Call Carly today at 855-766-3405 for details. McRoof.us, where every replacement is a replacement done right.
Homer Stacy was a wholesome, good American kid from Texas. At the age of 18, he enlisted in the United States Army and was stationed at Fort Bliss, Texas. Homer was fascinated with aircraft, so he went to flight school and became an Army Air Corps pilot. Homer Stacy was the pilot of a Convair B-24 Liberator, the Yankee Doodle Dandy. November 11, 1943, Homer and his crew, along with 31 other bombers, flew a mission to destroy a ball bearing plant in occupied France. On the return trip, a mechanical failure caused the plane to drop out of formation, leaving the Yankee Doodle Dandy vulnerable, and shortly thereafter, 7 German Me-109 shot the plane down near Andano, Italy. 4 crew members were killed on board. The others parachuted. 1 was captured and taken prisoner. Homer was among the remaining 5 who made it to Switzerland and returned to duty. Homer Stacy survived World War II, the Korean War, and retired after 21 years of service with numerous awards and citations, not to mention the Purple Heart. Homer Stacy. Homer Stacy McCollum. Scott McCollum's dad. Scott McCollum is McRoof. McRoof is owned and operated by the McCollum family, an honorable, trustworthy red, white, and blue family. If you want to improve or repair your property, call 855-766-3405. Ask for a no-cost roof assessment and home inspection. That's McRoof, 855-766-3405. That's McRoof.
Thinking about solar? If you are, the puzzle just got a whole lot simpler for you. CertainTeed and McRoof.us have teamed up to provide Oklahomans with the full package. McRoof can now install your new or replacement CertainTeed Integrity roof system and CertainTeed Solstice integrated solar shingles all at the same time. Your roof, one manufacturer, installed by one contractor. Don't have a CertainTeed shingle or don't need a new roof right now, but you'd still like to install solar? Give us a call at 866-766-3405 and one of our solar specialists will schedule your consultation. The solar and the asphalt shingle industry's leading warranties, backed by CertainTeed's 120 plus years of industry leadership and installed by the most highly credentialed roofing contractor in Oklahoma, McRoof.us. If that sounds like a winning combination to you, call us today at 866-766-3405.
This is the home of Talk Radio's new generation, KOKC.
And McRoof Talks Insurance back on the air for Act 2 of today's show. Bill, we'll get back to your topic in just a moment. Dan, will get to you in just a moment. But first, you know, guys, normally I always I select American history to talk about in these trivia things, but
yeah, usually
something caught my eye today.
We are in America.
Especially if it has to do with the Beatles.
Yeah, well, exactly. On this date, June 1st, 1495, the first written record of Scotch whiskey appeared in Scotland. And Friar John Core was the distiller.
Friar John,
1495, the first written record of Scotch whiskey.
I think he's my relative.
On this date in 1861, a couple of the first skirmishes of the U.S. Civil War in Virginia between the U.S. and the Confederacy, and the two nations simultaneously stopped mail interchange. And I bring that up because of the current play at Carpenter Square. Ben Butler is about the Civil War, the early days of the Civil War. And then on this date, speaking of the Beatles, on this date in 1967, EMI released this album. Oh my goodness, what a time that was. I remember where I was the first time I heard that, and I think I was 15 years old, almost 15. All right, so Bill, let's go to you because you've been holding.
Or Dan. I think Dan.
Dan. Yeah, we're going to Dan, and then we'll get back to Bill's topic. Hello, Dan. Are you calling about the trivia question?
I believe I am.
Okay, so for those folks who may have just tuned in, we're asking what are the two factors which determine if a particular roof location impacted by hail is damaged. Take it away, Dan.
Is it an asphalt shingle roof?
That is a great question, Dan, and it is an asphalt shingle roof.
I would say granular loss and a fractured fiberglass mat.
You are on the right track, Dan. However, and those things do
absolutely play into it. Yeah.
Those things do play into the answer. However, this is a more universal definition of damage that does not strictly apply just to a shingled roof, an asphalt shingled roof. This does also apply to metal. It does also apply
synthetics,
to low-slope membrane roofs, roof systems. So you're definitely on the right track because those things do detract from the 2 points that we are about to tell, if no one else gets the trivia question.
All right, well, I guess I'm out.
Well, we appreciate your effort.
Well, now I'm going to give Dan another shot at this.
You do?
Okay.
Dan,
Well,
I'd like
it is a difficult question.
Yeah, I mean this is a real teaser here. So Dan, when you think about what the purpose of a roof is really for, and the damage that you described, what happens? Not just cosmetically, granular loss, but
what happens over a span of time after that granular loss takes place, Dan? Both in terms of, I would say it's hard to not give away.
I'm going to argue with you guys. I'm going to tell you that both of Dan's answers are half of our.
That is true. I would agree. That's why I said he's
number
definitely
one that we're looking for. Both of his answers are number one.
Okay.
And then
that's right.
So let's go ahead. Number one is the effect on the long-term service life of the product. Okay, and the granular loss that Dan is talking about. Once the granular is lost, the asphalt is exposed to the ultraviolet and begins to deteriorate at a fairly rapid rate.
I'll buy that.
So you have affected the long-term service life of that product. And then, of course, the second thing you mentioned was a fractured mat. Rick, you remember back to our technologies. We had scrim technology, and we had our impact-resistant shingles that were applied on a fiberglass mat.
Right.
Okay. Those kinds of things, and now we're into the age of the SBS modified asphalt that we're using. So those shingles don't really have, quote unquote, a mat in the way that a traditional shingle had. But both of Dan's answers are absolutely have an effect on the long-term service life of the product.
That's right.
Dan, good job, buddy. Really appreciate it.
So Dan, congratulations. If you'll stay on the phone with Eric, he'll get your email address, and I will send you 2 free tickets to Carpenter Square Theater.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay.
Appreciate
Thanks for
you
answering,
listening.
Dan.
All right.
Okay, so now let's finish up our trivia question.
Okay.
Okay. And unfortunately, Dan won't hear this because he's talking to Eric right now.
But it won't take too long.
But the second part of the answer that we were looking for, and what Rick was trying to guide Dan to,
and one of the examples Dan provided.
What is the purpose? What is the purpose of a roof?
To shed water.
Yeah, exactly.
So if the quote unquote,
or to cover all the crap in your attic.
And provide protection for all of the contents of the home.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
If the hail impacting the roof affected the water shedding capabilities of that roof, then that is quote-unquote damage in the context of your insurance.
Yes,
claim.
it is.
So the things we were looking for was the effect on the long-term service life of the product. That is, you have suffered an economic loss because your roof is not going to perform for the anticipated service life, okay? And then the water shedding capabilities, obviously, if we have water intrusion anywhere,
right,
we've got a whole lot of other problems, and that's obviously storm-related damage. So,
Okey-doke.
Scotty, is that good on
That's
that?
right.
All right.
All right.
All right. So I tell you what, why don't we go ahead and get up on? We got to finish with Bill.
Yeah, I want to go back to Bill. Started out, and then he kind of went 2 or 3 different places real fast. So he started out talking about flashing details on dormers. Okay.
Yeah.
And then he went to talking about
The valley is at the high side of the dormers.
He talked about valleys and granular loss, and then he was also talking about granular loss on hips and ridges, and then he was talking about ventilation. So there were about 4 or 5 different things. We're not going to get into all of them right now, but let's take the flashing detail on the dormers. On the dormers, you have sidewall flashing, and you have the flashing on the front of the dormer, which is called an apron flashing. Okay. So the sidewall flashing is accomplished by installing ice and water. I'm assuming that there's nothing on the roof. Okay.
And let's also make the assumption that it's wood siding.
Well,
and it wouldn't matter what kind of siding.
Yeah,
the application is the same.
It doesn't matter what kind of siding. It's just the amount of work and the difficulty of it gets magnified with different
I was just saying
types
for the sake of
materials.
this particular example.
So we're going to assume that you have wood siding. We're going to assume that your roof deck is taken off. Here's what we're going to do, okay? This is McRoof. We're going to cut the siding on the angle 5.5 inches above the roof deck, okay? And then we're going to install ice and water on the roof deck and up that vertical sidewall.
Tucking it behind the siding.
Then we're going to set our step flashing in place, and then we're going to install a cover board. All right, the cover board is going to be 1.5 inches off of the roof deck. That's because what is supposed to be beside a dormer, what is supposed to be beside a sidewall configuration in any type construction is supposed to be a drain channel. It's supposed to be a place that water can flow from top to
unobstructed
bottom off of your roof and get off of your roof. It's not supposed to be a piece of masonite siding or a piece of softwood or a piece of stucco that usually has foam behind it, that is sitting all the way down on top of the roof deck, and that they become nothing but sponges over time. That's not what a flashing detail.
Then the shingle's jammed all the way as far up into the corner where that roof wall joint is as possible. Yeah. That's not right.
Yeah. So the thing that I didn't say is that we're also going to use a Z flashing over the top of our cover board. Basically just visualize a Z. It it's going up the cover board, it's going over the top of the cover board, and then it's going back up the vertical wall behind the siding. That keeps you from ever having to have a flashing, a caulking detail.
Oh, nice.
Okay?
Nice.
If you don't do that, if you don't use the Z flashing, then you have to caulk between the bottom of the siding and your cover board. And now you've created a situation where the homeowner unknowingly has a maintenance item that is not going to get taken care of the way that it should be.
Boy, do I understand that.
So here we are. We have ice and water up the vertical wall, step flashing set in place, a cover board put in, a Z flashing on top of the cover board and underneath the siding, and we're done.
How high up does the ice and water go?
Well, you've only cut the siding up 5.5 inches.
Right. Usually 6 inches.
Okay.
Is the max that we can comfortably tuck it underneath that bottom course of siding.
I mean, you're going to get it as far up as you possibly can.
Okay.
But the fact that you've got your cover board on top of your step flashing and your Z flashing on top of your cover board, we've created a waterproof detail.
Okay.
Okay.
Very nice.
So now, if you're talking about the front of the dormer where the apron flashing is, same thing. You've got to remove that siding up 5.5 inches in order to be able to get ice and water up that vertical wall. Set your apron flashing, which is not step flashing. Apron flashing is typically one piece.
Okay.
Okay. Set your apron flashing in place. Okay. And then put your cover board over the top of that. So that's the way that those details need to be done to where they are truly watertight and no one has a maintenance issue.
And Bill, I hope you got all of that. And if you need more explanation, give McRoof a call.
Yeah.
We will.
Time to go up on the roof.
And we were walking in the Alabama rain.
This week's View from the Rooftop, Scotty investigates his toughest leak yet. Does he have what it takes, or has he met his match? The Roof Detective.
Well, Rick, before, I would say the last 2 weeks is when I finally got a confirmation of that answer. If I had met my match, I would have told you that I was quite unsure of that. Thankfully, there have been some developments within the last 2 weeks, and it turns out that I am quite a good roof detective.
Oh, good. Yay.
Pray tell.
Hooray.
Although that detective work has not come without its heartache and frustration.
Right.
So,
what were you dealing with?
Well, we were dealing with, let's just call him John's roof down in southwest Oklahoma City. He's got a big roof, steep roof, discontinued shingle. They first called us in 2021 to fix a leak that had been roofed into the roof assembly in the 2017 replacement of their roof.
Oh my.
Done by another contractor.
So from 2017 they've had a leak.
From 2017 to 2021 they had a consistent leak that nobody could fix and that the previous contractor had given up fixing.
And so in 21,
that's where we came onto the scene. We quickly diagnosed their repair needs and prescribed the scope of work that we thought was going to fix that. We executed that work. It was not inexpensive by any means, but they were confident in our detail and the description that we provided that we thought was going to work. A couple years passed. They thought we had solved the leak, and unfortunately, they called us when the wind blew just right in 2023, letting us know that the leak was not fixed. So it's been about a year that we have been isolating different variables on their masonry surfaces, their siding wall surfaces, their flashing details, one by one, of course, because if you address all those, if you isolate all those variables all at one time, you're never going to know what caused the leak.
Yeah.
So it's been a long process, a little over a year now since they called us again, and after isolating at least 3, maybe 4 more variables over the course of the last year, we have finally isolated the last, which they have reported has solved their leaks.
Yay! Hooray!
Well, and let me say this.
Say it quickly.
Oh, well, I'll say it when we come back.
Okay.
Sure.
Because it's time for us to take another break. And then we'll be back with Act 3 of today's show. After these important messages, I want to remind everyone you're listening to McRoof Talks Insurance on KOKC, AM 1520, FM 95.3, and anywhere in the US of A on the iHeart Radio app. Search for KOKC. We're also live streaming on the McRoof Talks Insurance YouTube channel. We will be back in a flash. Don't go away.
Talk Radio's new generation, KOKC.
I'm Scott McCollum, and I am McRoof. McRoof and CertainTeed are the team you need on your roof. CertainTeed's impact-resistant lineup is unbeatable. Northgate ClimateFlex, Presidential Shake, or the slate look of Belmont IR, or the King of Shingles, Grand Manor. Call Carly today at 855-766-3405 or go to McRoof.us. McRoof.us, where every replacement is a replacement done right.
Honoring America's Warriors is an Oklahoma-based 501c3 nonprofit that is committed to honoring our heroes and healing our warriors. Honoring America's Warriors provides teams of disabled combat veterans in service-dress uniform to augment military honors for our brave that have served our country. Honoring America's Warriors also provides outdoor activities to get our returning veterans peer-to-peer with other veterans in a non-medical environment. To learn more or to donate, go to honoringamericaswarriors.org today.
If you don't know that you have a trusted advisor when it comes to your residential or commercial roof, you probably haven't met one of my solution specialists. This team is dedicated to crafting solutions for you and always has your best interest at heart as they counsel you through the replacement or repair process. These are not roofing salespeople whose only end is to sell you a roof. These are highly trained specialists in damage assessment, roof repair, and their goal is to earn your trust and confidence. The pillars of our company are technical competence, quality, and unequaled customer service. If those values ring true to you, give us a call today at 866-766-3405, and your trusted advisor will be on the way. McRoof.us, where every replacement is a replacement done right.
This is the home of talk radio's new generation, KOKC.
And McRoof Talks Insurance, back on the air for Act 3 of today's show. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. We're live in studio with restoration specialist and Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCollum, the next generation of McRoof HAAG-certified inspector Scotty McCollum, Eric Yandel on the other side of the glass, running man Eric Yandel, taking your calls to 405-478-1520. In fact, this is last call for your call, 405-478-1520. Scott, before we went to the break, you were about to expound on the view from the rooftop.
Well, we did a spot about, being a trusted advisor there during the last break. And the view from the rooftop, the story of the folks who had a leak since 2017.
Right.
Who brought us into the picture several years ago. We thought we had solved the problem, and a couple of years later we found out we hadn't. I'll just tell you that this repair was over $10,000.
Wow.
This was not an inexpensive repair. This was a very, very difficult technical repair. And the way that we approach our business is that when we do repairs for people, we're responsible for them, okay? We warrant them, and we're going to work as long and as hard as we have to ultimately, as Scotty says, hopefully now we're in a position to be able to solve this problem once and for all. And that's a great thing. The other thing that we do is when folks do repairs with us, and then at some point, and we have people who we've been doing repairs for 6-8 years, and now they need a new roof.
Right.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'll go back through and we'll calculate all the money that they've paid McRoof for repairs, RoofRx for repairs over the years, and we will write them a check, essentially, give them a credit for up to 50% of what they have paid us over the years for those repairs.
Wow, such a deal.
And I'm not paying your deductible. I'm not giving you money. I'm rebating something that you have already paid us as we move forward with you in your replacement roof. So that's just the way that we approach our business. We truly do feel your pain, and we do have the client's best interest at heart.
And so it seems to me that by utilizing RoofRx to maintain one's roof, the money that one would spend on an annual basis is then rebated back to the homeowner up to 50%. when McRoof replaces the roof.
Right.
Wow.
Well, take this one as an example and say that 50% would have been in excess of $5,000.
Right.
Okay. And I have no idea what their insurance deductible is or anything like that. But say they needed a new roof and their insurance deductible was $15,000. Well, us giving you back that $5,000, we're not paying $5,000 of your deductible. We're we're recognizing a credit for monies that you have already paid us over the years to maintain your roof, and that's us being in relationship with you, with the expectation that when you do need a roof, we're the people you're going to call.
Yeah.
So, it's a win-win.
Well, since we've been talking about Roof RX, why don't we do our storm tip?
Oh, yes.
Hey. There we go.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of that lately.
Yeah, a whole lot of it. Now, the long-term forecast for the next week doesn't look like it has any severe weather. Some rain, but no severe weather. So let's call this one after the storm.
Okay, we'll call it after the storm. So we've had some things that have happened here recently that we want to talk about in this after the storm also.
Okay.
And that is that when we come out and do an inspection, we're inspecting the roof utilizing the education, the training, the thousands and thousands and thousands of roofs, the credentials, the HAAG certifications, all that, to try to advise you in the proper way. We're trying to counsel you as if it were our own home.
Right.
Okay? Yeah. This is what we would do. This is what we see. And these are the reasons behind what our counsel to you is. And we unfortunately, we have people who, have filed claims without us taking a look at the roof, and then they're calling us to come out and see if we can help them out. Okay?
And oftentimes, Rick, this is because a door-knocking contractor was just doing work in the neighborhood, as you know, they always are.
Yeah.
And stopped by.
We got a load of extra shingles left over from a job.
And stopped by to see if you happen to be interested for them to get on your roof.
Yeah.
So anyway,
and naturally they found plenty of damage.
The starting place for Roof RX is absolutely that qualified inspection. And as we've said for years, that is not what every roofing salesperson is trained to do. All right? They don't have the expertise to really be able to get on the roof and dissect what damage has occurred over time, tell you what the situation is and what needs to happen, and have a pretty good idea of what's going to happen when your insurance company gets on it. Most storms are not like the 2010 storm or the 2021 storm in Norman. Most storms are not where you get on a roof and you go, oh my God. Those are what we in the vernacular is no-brainers. Okay?
Exactly. Yeah.
A blind adjuster could pay for one of those roofs. That's not the way that most roofs look. Okay, and most roofs are, much more difficult to. You not only have to be able to see it, you have to be able to feel it. You have to be able to distinguish between a blister and a hail impact. Those kinds of, there's lots of that. So the qualified inspection is the starting place. If you need any kind of repairs, then Roof RX is going to do repairs for you. As we said, our guarantee to you is that we're responsible for those repairs on that area of your roof. Now, I don't own your roof, but I'm responsible for what we did the work on. And when you do need a new roof, we're going to give you back up to 50% of that money back. Maintenance plans are great ideas. Every roof needs to be maintained. If it's as simple as cleaning your gutters out and getting all the organic material off of your roof, that's a step in the right direction. Most people don't want to do that themselves. Roof RX does that. So if you want it inspected, if you want it repaired, you want it maintained, Roof RX is the place to go. Right, Eric?
That's right. Roof RX, the prescription for your ailing roof.
Very nice,
I was
Eric.
there on that one.
You were.
And some people operate better with don'ts. So I'll give them two don'ts. don't file a claim before we inspect, or don't file a claim before one of the few highly qualified, very reputable, honest companies here around town inspects your roof.
Okay.
And also don't listen to what that door-knocking kid of a contractor came by and told you on your roof.
Yeah,
I can see the damage from the other side of the street.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, we had a couple calls. We had a couple. You had some this week where you were out, where people had filed a claim. The insurance company had been out and had denied the claim.
I was out on two. Specifically, yes.
And both of them, you would have advised them not to have filed a claim, or where did you stand on those?
One was very iffy to the point that I would have advised him to wait.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, folks. You know, we're sitting here in storm season, okay, and if it's iffy, okay, if it is not,
well, that's right.
If it is not in Scotty's or my mind a sure thing, then we don't want you to file a claim right now. Let's wait. And
if somebody has leaks, then we can address those leaks on a
sure, exactly.
project basis.
We were on the roof this week. Scotty and I got on a roof together because I wanted to make sure that I hadn't forgotten what I used to know, quite honestly. And we got on a roof together, and I was absolutely amazed at how different this roof, Scotty, this is an old 3-tab. Okay. Oh, that was something else the fellow was talking about, architecture versus 3-tab. Bill, we don't do 3-tabs, and I'll talk to that in a minute. But anyway, this was an old 3-tab. Okay. I had gotten on that roof the morning after a hailstorm a week or so ago.
Okay.
2 weeks ago now.
2 weeks ago. It did not look like it looked when
on
Scotty
Wednesday,
and I got on.
We were on the roof.
No kidding. Yeah.
And the difference is that those granules shed takes weeks sometimes, takes months in other cases if the impact was small enough, but in this case 2 weeks was enough, almost 2 weeks was enough for the granule to shed starting from the center point of the impact zone where the hail impacted the shingle from the center point outwards.
So the damage that I couldn't see 2 weeks ago was already there. Okay,
it was already there.
It just became obvious.
Yes.
And that's why we talk about, Scotty. What's the other thing we talk about? We talk about inspect and inspect again.
Yes.
Okay. We don't do inspections one time and forget about it. We'll do your inspection. We've got a number of roofs that we've told people we'll be back in late June, early July. After they've heated up a little bit, had the rains, June's a big rain month.
Yes, it is.
We'll be back and we'll look at your roof again, and then we'll make that decision. And if the decision is that, you know, you should not file a claim, then we'll look for what kinds of things do we need to do to maintain this roof, to maintain the integrity of this roof through next storm season. Okay, and that's when we'll give them a list of recommendations for repairs and maintenance and go forward on that. Okay, so anyway, we had a couple that were called in that should not have been called in. Okay?
Yeah.
And once people are in that situation, now they've got the claim. They've either got a denial or a payment for less than their deductible or whatever. I mean, their deductible was more than any payment would have been, and now they're kind of in that pickle. The other thing that I think that by people filing claims prematurely is once we've got a couple like this too. We've got a couple that we would argue that they should be replaced. Okay, I'm not saying we would have told the person to have done that, but since they filed their claim and got denied or a partial payment and we're now involved in this, we would actually argue that they should get replaced
by the carrier.
But once carriers have denied or have, you know, issued some type of minimal payment, it's human nature adjusters kind of tend to dig their heels in.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And it just makes it so much harder for us to ever. We've got people right now that have been in that situation for a year or so now, that we now are going to recommend to them, let's just forget about all the legalities and the different, points of contention and all of the ways that this could go against the insurance company, and let's just file a new claim, because now we have new damage,
a new date
that nobody can deny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's right.
So, Scotty, I have a note here from what you sent me about this topic we've been talking about, multiple inspections. Quote, things happen slowly, then suddenly.
Oh, well, that's just a quote that Johnny, he uses often, and I had never heard it before I met Johnny, and I like it a lot. Inspect, inspect, inspect. You don't have enough damage. You don't have enough damage. No, Mr. Johnson, you don't have enough damage. And then guess what? You've got enough damage.
All of a sudden, boom.
Yeah.
Well, and that happens for a number of reasons. It happens with the. Well, we better jump on that.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, we got you. We just have a couple of minutes for you, so hit me.
Hey, I just wanted to ask Scott if he could give me a call up here in Kansas so we could have a little conversation.
Oh,
Sure
absolutely,
thing.
Joe.
Sure thing, Joe.
Absolutely.
All right, give your number to Eric.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay, never mind.
I got you, Joe.
Alrighty.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, sounds good to be hearing you guys again.
Good.
All right.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you,
Thanks
Joe.
for listening.
So, we were talking about how you inspect and there's not much there. You inspect, there's not much there. You inspect, there's not much there. And you inspect again, and all of a sudden it's there. And it's not necessarily that there's been another event. Okay, there's all the thermal stuff that goes on, expansion, contraction. That granular breaks loose at some point in time. We have a big ice storm. Okay,
we did.
And we have a big ice storm, and the first time it heats up, guess what? There's going to be a whole lot of granular loss. There's going to be a whole lot of old hail that now all the granular has popped off of that because that shingle flexed and expanded and contracted and did all that, and boom, you go back and get on that roof that you didn't have enough damage on before, and now that roof is basically destroyed.
Wow.
So that's what he's talking about.
Hey, I just got a text from the lawyer. He wanted me to make sure that I told you all that S&CM LLC, doing business as McRoof.us, legally operates under Oklahoma registration number 800000002, and that the registration applies to both residential and commercial roofing. Okay, so in the minute we have left, what's coming up this week?
What's the most important thing you can tell people in the minute we have left, Scotty? What do we have coming up this week?
Yeah.
We're going to do a lot of training. We're going to do a lot of training this week. We've got crew training again we've got Spanish training for our crews set up again for Friday, and then our new guys are going to be doing some of their individual credential training and stuff.
Good.
So some online stuff, and then just a lot of marketing stuff. So
good.
I don't really have anything to add to that.
All right. Well, how about Dad's wisdom then?
Oh, yes. Well, here we go. Say what you mean and do what you say. People don't have to agree with you, but they need to know where you stand.
Exactly. This has been McRoof Talks Insurance on KOKC in Oklahoma City. I'm Rick Allen Lippert, restoration specialist at Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCollum, and the next generation of McRoof HAAG-certified roofing inspector Scotty McCollum, and I will all be back next week. Eric Yandel, the running man, is running someplace next week.
Where are you running, Eric?
I'm not running, but I'm going to Broken Bow.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we will be back next week. We hope you join us.
Thank
Indeed.
you.
Have a good weekend.
Good week.
KOKC